Hi there, welcome to this extensive tutorial on PowerPoint. This video is part 1 of the 3-part series. In this one, I'll be showing you how you can create a neat and elegant presentation in PowerPoint from scratch. If you're an absolute beginner, don't worry, I'll guide you step by step explaining the details so you can easily follow along. All in all, we'll be creating 20 slides in 5 sections. By the end of the tutorial, you will not only have a finished presentation, but also master all the essential tools and gain the skills you need to create visually appealing designs in PowerPoint. In the following videos, we're gonna go a step further and bring everything to life by adding beautiful animations and transitions. If you want to learn more on how to make your presentations stand out, please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new uploads. And I would really appreciate it if you hit the like button to support the channel. And now let's head over to PowerPoint and get started. Go ahead and create a new presentation. You can either select the blank presentation in the Themes menu and then click Create, or go to the file at the top of your screen and click on New Presentation. This will open a new slide for us. Let's remove the default text boxes, select each and press the Delete button. This presentation is going to have 5 sections and each will start with the title slide. To create it, we'll need to import an image that we'll be using as the background for this slide. Now, how do we do that? Make sure you're on the Home tab. Now click on where it says Picture and select this picture from File option. I'm gonna quickly jump to the folder where I have all the images I want to use in this presentation, and I'm gonna select the one I want to use for this slide and click Insert. Next, we need to scale it up so it covers the entire slide. Select the picture and holding down the Shift key to maintain the proportions, grab one of the sides and start dragging it. If your image goes beyond the slide frame, what you want to do is to head over to the Picture tool, click on the Crop tool. This will activate this crop frame around the image. Now just use the handles to crop your image. Make sure that you pull this black handle and not the white nodes, otherwise it will just resize your image. Also pay attention to this red dashed line that appears when the image is aligned to the edge of the slide. Once it snaps to that red line, you can release. When you click off the image, it's going to apply the changes. I want to make the image a bit brighter, and yes, we can do some basic color correction right in PowerPoint. Make sure the picture is selected. If it's not, just click on it once. In the Picture Format tab, we can navigate to the Corrections and then click on the Picture Corrections options. What this is gonna do, it will open the Format Picture pane on the right-hand side. Here we can play with the sliders. I'm gonna bring up the brightness by just a little bit. That should be enough. To apply the changes, you can just click anywhere outside the picture. Alright, now let's add a title. In the Home tab ribbon, open up the Shapes menu and select the Rectangle tool. Now we can just draw a rectangle and position it like so. We need to change its color, and to do that, head over to the Format Shape pane. If you don't see it, make sure you're currently on the Shape Format tab. And in here, click on the Format Pane button. A panel will show up on the right-hand side. Now, expand the Line section and choose the No Line option. That will remove the outline. Then we need to go to the Fill section and set the color. Select the Solid Fill option, then click on the Fill Color icon. That will bring up the Theme Color panel. To set a custom color, click on the More Color option and type in the hex code for the color. You can add a little bit of transparency to it. To do that, move the slider until you're satisfied with the result. I'll leave mine at 20%. Great, and now let's add the text. Switch to the Home tab and press on the text box button in the upper ribbon and draw a box right above the rectangle. Type in your text. Then select that text, and in the Home tab, I'm gonna set the font to Century Gothic Bold. And the font size, I want to be 24. Now let's add one more text box for the subtitle. I'll set it to Century Gothic Regular this time, and the size will be 18. The title slide for this section is ready, and now let's create the first slide in this section. Right-click in the Slides panel on the left-hand side and select New Slide. That is one way to add a new slide. I'll show you other ways as we progress through the presentation. Alright, if the new slide has any text boxes, just remove them. We'll start with creating the background elements. We'll add a simple rectangle that will cover about 1/3 width of the slide. You don't have to be precise here, just select the rectangle tool and draw something like this. Let's change its colors, and to do that, head over to the Format pane. I'm gonna set the line to No Line option, and for the fill color, I'm gonna select the color that I used on the previous slide. It should be automatically saved under the recent colors. Next, I want to add an image to that slide, and to do that, in the Home ribbon, click on the Picture tool and choose the Picture from File option. Then select the image you want to use. Now let me scale it down a bit. Don't forget that you can press and hold the Shift key to maintain the proportions. And I'm gonna place it like so. Alright, now it's time to add some text. Select the text box tool from the Home ribbon and type in the title. Then we need to select the text, and in the upper panel we can now set the font and the font size. I'll set the same font we used on the previous slide. If your text overflows the slide, you can simply click on the text box and resize it so that the text wraps to the next line. It's looking good. I also want to highlight the first word with the light brown color. To do that, I'll select that word and then go to the Font Color tool in the upper panel, click on the More Colors option, and type in the hex code for that color. Also, let's quickly add a thin line right under the title. Grab the Line tool from the Shapes menu and draw a line. Then in the Format Shape menu, I'm gonna set the line width to 1 point. And the color I want to be black. And now let's add a short paragraph that will briefly describe the slide. If you want your slide to look neat, you don't want to be putting too much text into it, so 1-2 sentences will be just enough. Grab the text box tool again and create a box that would be enough to fit your text. Make sure you select the text, and now you can set the font to Pop and Slide and font size to 16. Also, I'm gonna set the text color to dark gray. The second slide is ready, and now let's create the next one. Let's start this one by adding a rectangular shape. It will cover about 1/3 of the width and height. I'm gonna use the same colors as for the rectangles on the previous slide. By now this should be pretty simple for you. For this slide, we'll need 2 images, so navigate to the Picture tool and bring them in. Let's place them like so. You might want to crop the parts of the image you don't need. If you want to move the visible part of your image, you can select the Crop tool again and simply reposition the image inside the crop frame. And now let's add a title and some text. It's gonna look similar to what we did on the previous slide, so we can just jump back to that slide. copy the title, the line, and the paragraph, and paste them here. Now just change the text. If you want to keep the styles when pasting the text, just hold down Option-Command keys on your keyboard. If you're on Windows, that would be Shift-Alt-Control key. And position it like this. Alright, this one is now complete. Let's move on to the next slide. If you know that you'll be using the same styles for some of the elements on the next slide, you can simply make a copy of this slide. Make sure you select the current slide in the slide panel and hit Command D on your keyboard or Control D for Windows users. I'll remove the images. We'll be using different ones for this slide. Also, I'll move the title and the text to the side for now. This time, instead of drawing a new rectangle, I'm just gonna resize the existing one. Now let's bring in an image for this slide. Now let's change the title and the text to what the slide is supposed to be about. Then move the text up here, and the title I'll place at the bottom this time. Nice, one more slide is done, and this will be it for the first section. My next section, I want to start with the title slide as well, so I'm gonna go back to the first slide, duplicate it, and bring it all the way down to the bottom. Now I just need to delete the image and bring in a new one. Let's increase it and crop the unwanted parts. Perfect, now let's send it to back so we can see other elements on the slide. And to do that, you'd need to switch to the Picture Format tab. And here you'd need to click on the down arrow where it says Send Backward. And in the pop-up, select Send to Back. And now we'll go ahead and change the title. Awesome, now we'll create slides for this section. We can create a new blank slide, or we can copy an existing one and modify its elements as we did previously. I'm gonna delete the image and import a new one. I'll need to make it a bit smaller. And place it like so. I also want to add a white frame around the image, and to do that I can just make a copy of the existing rectangle by selecting it and pressing Command C and Command V on the keyboard. Then just change its color and size and bring it backwards so that it's placed right under the image. Nice, now let me quickly change the title and the text. And place them right here. The next slide I want to create from scratch. So in the slides pane, I'm gonna right click and select new slide. Then get rid of the default text boxes. Let's insert an image. And scale it up. This time I want the image to cover half the height of the slide. Let's select the crop tool in the Picture Format tab and cut off the unwanted parts. Also, I want to change the visible area, so with the crop tool still activated, I'm gonna move the image upwards. I want the slide to highlight 3 main points or ideas, so each will have a title and a short description. Let me grab the text tool and create a title for the first block. Now change the font to Century Gothic Bold, set its size to 14, and activate the center text option. And with the text still selected, let's set its color to dark gray. I think it would look better if we increase the distance between each letter. Now, how do we do that? With the text still selected, you can click on the character spacing tool and select the loose option. I think it looks great. Now let's insert a short paragraph right below the title. For this one, we can use font Pop-in Slide and the size 14. I want to center the text, and let me also change the distance between the lines. To do that, we'd need to click on the line spacing button up here. In the line spacing drop-down, make sure you select multiple. And now you can set its value to 1.2. Alright, then let's add a nice line separator in between the title and the text. Set its color to black and width to 1 point. And if you want to add an icon right above the title, you can switch to the Insert tab at the top of your screen. Then in the ribbon, select the Icon tool. That will bring up a panel where you can choose any of the built-in icons. Select any you like. Then go ahead and click Insert. You can change its size either by dragging its corners, or you can set a value in the Graphic Format tab, which will appear when the icon is selected. I'm gonna set mine to 1.5 centimeters. And I want to change its color to dark gray. It is the same color that we used for the text. Now let me align all 4 elements. Select all of them and head over to the Align tool and select the Align Center option. You would also want to group all elements by pressing Command-Option-G on your keyboard. If you're on Windows, that would be Control-Alt-G. Now let's create 2 more copies of this group. Change the title and the text. If you're pasting your text, don't forget to hold down Command-Option-Shift and then press B. That will paste your text and preserve the styles. Now to change the icon, we can just double-click it to select. Then right-click and in the menu, hover over the Change Graphic and select the From Icons option. That will bring up a pop-up with all available icons. Select the icon you want and click Insert. As you can see, it is the same size and color. Let's do the same for the third one. Now let's make sure that the groups are distributed evenly and there is equal distance between each group. Select all of them. Then head over to the Arrange tool in the Home tab. Now hover over Align option and in here select Distribute horizontally. Great, this slide is complete. Let's move on to the next one. I'm gonna create a blank slide this time. Here I want to have 3 images, so I'll print them in. Now to help me align them, I'm gonna use the Smart Guides. If you don't have them activated, you would need to navigate to the View tab up here and select this guides checkbox. Now, how do I add a new guide? You need to hold down the Option key or Alt key if you're on Windows. Grab one of the existing guides and pull it to where you want to place the new guide. I want to place one guide at 0.2 in the upper half of the slide and the other one at 0.2 on the bottom half, and one more guide at 9.1. Now let's do the same with the vertical guides. Let's place one more guide at 8.5 and two more guides, one at 8.3 and another one at 8.7, and two more guides for each side at 16.5. You should be pretty good at resizing and cropping images by now. Grab the first one and insert it in the top left corner between the guides that form a frame. Use the crop tool if you need to cut the image. Then do the same for the other two images. Now we need to create a rectangle that will cover the bottom part of the slide. In the Shapes menu, select the Rectangle tool, then draw one that fits between the guides. Remove the outline and change its color to light brown. I'm gonna copy the title and the text from one of the previous slides so I can use the same styles. Now let me quickly change the text. Let's place the title at the left-hand side of the slide and the text at the right-hand side. One more section is ready, but before we move on to the next section, let's remove these smart guides. We won't need them anymore. Otherwise, if you switch between the slides, you're gonna see them on each slide. To remove a guide, simply drag it outside the slide area and it should disappear. I'm gonna leave the central guides. They are the ones at 0-point distance. Let me also quickly fix this middle photo. Here we go. And now let's move on to the next section. Again, we're gonna start with the title slide by copying the existing one. To quickly create a copy, you can simply press Command D on your keyboard, then drag the slide to the very bottom. I'll import the image I want to use as the background. And now I'll just change its size. And crop it so that it fits my slide. And since it's supposed to be the background, I'm gonna send it to back. I want to do some color correction here, so while still in the picture format tool, let's click on this color button up here. And in the color saturation section, let's select one of the default options that is less saturated than my original image. That looks good. And as always, let's change the title and the subtitle. You should be pretty good at it by now. The title slide for this section is ready, and I'm gonna go ahead and create a blank slide. I'm gonna use the smart guides again to mark the areas where I want to place my images. We're gonna have 3 images here. First, let's do the horizontal guides and then the vertical ones. And now let's resize the images and place them into the frames. Great, I want to have the same styles for the title as in other slides. For the content this time, I'm gonna create infographics with options. The text in the infographics will have the same styles as the text on previous slides, so I'm gonna bring in a copy of that as well. First, let's change the title text and bring it up here. And now let's create the infographics. It's gonna have 3 options, so go ahead and select the text tool and type 1 for the first option. Set its font to Century Gothic Bold and size to 66. Now align it with the title like so. The next step would be to bring in the text that we've copied from another slide. Make its area smaller if you need, and replace the text. I think it would look better if we make the font a bit smaller, so go ahead and select the text and change its size to 14. That looks much better. Now we need to create 3 more options. Select both the number and the text, and by holding down Option Shift, start dragging it, and then release. And one more time. Now you just need to change 1 to 2 and 2 to 3. And add the text for these points. If the text is too close to the digit, you can select all 3 blocks, and using your right arrow key, move it to the right side like so. Then we would want to group each text with the corresponding digit. We need to make sure that we have equal distance between each group. We can do that by selecting all 3, and in the Shape Format tab, open up the Alignment menu and choose Distribute Vertically. There we go. Now we'll create the next slide. I want it to be a very simple one. It's gonna have just one image, a title, and a text. Go ahead and select one of the existing slides and duplicate it. Bring the copy all the way to the bottom. Great. Now let's remove the guides that we used on the previous slide. And also let's remove the images and import the one that we'll be using on this slide. Change its size and position it so that it covers the left half of the slide. Also, don't forget to bring it to the back so we have access to other elements on the slide. Now we want to use this rectangle. Let me change its size and bring it over here. I want it to slightly cover the left side of the image. The title I want to be at the bottom right here. And now go ahead and change your text. You see, it takes a lot less time to create subsequent slides if we just modify elements that we've created on the previous slides. Alright, create a copy of this slide. You can use the hotkey, which is Command-Shift-D for Mac and Control-Shift-D for Windows. Delete the image and move the content to side for now. Let's bring in two images for this slide. One of the images is going to cover the right half of the slide. I'll move the other one out of the way for now. Actually, I don't want to have a title this time. What I want to do is insert a quote. So I'll remove the title and the text. In the home ribbon up top, I'm gonna select the text box tool and insert a quote. Let's change the font to Century Gothic Bold Italic and size to 20. I would also want to set the line space into multiple 1.2. Then the author's name color, I'll change to brown. That looks beautiful, and all is left now is to position the image. Nice. Our third section is ready. Now let's create the next one. Go ahead and create the title slide the same way you created previous title slides. And now let's create a new empty slide, or you can copy any of the existing ones. It really doesn't matter here, whatever you prefer most by now. We're gonna be following the same styles as on the previous slides, so if you've decided to go with the blank slide as I did, we'll just copy and paste elements we might need from other slides later on. For this slide, I want to have a background that would cover it entirely, so let me pop in an image. I'm gonna scale it up and do some cropping so it fills the entire slide. Also, I want to bring down its saturation a bit. Perfect. Now, we don't want to be putting any text on top of the image as it will be hard to read any text. So what we can do is to create an overlay for the content. Let's use the rectangle tool from the Shapes menu to create this nice container for the content. This should be enough to fit the title and some text. Let's go ahead and remove the outline by setting no line option in the line menu. And for the fill, we're gonna choose the solid fill option. And in the color panel, choose the light brown we've used on the previous slides. Perfect. Now I'll copy the title and the text from previous slides so I don't have to set the styles from scratch. I should probably change the font size to 14. Yes, it looks much better now. You see how easy it gets with each new slide? So let's create a couple more for this section. Remove the cover image and resize the overlay so that it covers the lower half of the slide. Then we need to find an image for this slide in the File Explorer and hit Insert. Now we'll make it a bit smaller and align it to the middle. Next, we would need to change the content of the title and the text. And move the title to the upper half of the slide. And place the text so that it aligns with the bottom of the image. Alright, this slide is ready. It literally took us seconds. Now go ahead and switch to the next one. Here we'd want to delete the image and move the text outside the slide area. This time I want to have the content and my two images aligned to the middle. I'm gonna resize the overlay rectangle so that it covers about 1/3 of the width. What we'll need to do next is create a copy of that rectangle, which we'll be using to mark the area where we want to place the images. I could use the smart guides here as well, but I'll show you a different method. Resize the copy so that there will be enough room to fit one more of the same size. Now go ahead and create one more copy. The next step would be to select all three shapes and distribute them horizontally. This way we can make sure that we have equal distance between the elements. Perfect. Now let's bring in two vertical images. We need to align each image with the corresponding rectangle, resize it, and crop if needed. If the rectangle edges are showing through, you would want to remove them. Select one of the images and in the Picture Format panels ribbon up top, click on the selection pane, which will open on the right-hand side. Here you can select the rectangles and delete them by simply hitting the delete key. And now we can add a title and some text to the slide. This section is all done and we need to create one more. Once again, I'm gonna create a copy of one of the existing title slides. We want to be consistent here. Let's replace the images and the title. Now let's create a new slide. It's gonna have 2 vertical images. Resize the first image and place it like so. Then before I place the second image on top of the first one, I want to create an overlay so that it would visually separate the 2 images. And for that, I'm gonna create a white rectangle and place it on top of the first image. And now we can resize the second image and place it above the white rectangle. But first we need to make sure we bring it to front. Amazing. Now I want to add a title and the text content. One more slide is done. You can use a hotkey to create a blank slide. That would be Command-Shift-N on Mac or Control-Shift-N on Windows. For this one, we'll need 2 horizontal images. One is going to go to the lower half of the slide, and I want to leave the sides white. So let me first add smart guides to form a frame. And now let's position the first image. Use the crop tool to chop off the unwanted parts and adjust the position inside the crop area. Now crop the second image. Then just grab a copy of the title and the text from the previous slides so we stay consistent with the styles. And update the texts. Great, we're done with this one, and now let's create the last slide. For that one, I'm gonna hit Command-Shift-N. We're gonna use the trick I used on one of the previous slides to crop and align images using rectangles. So go ahead and grab the rectangle tool and create one that would look like this. Then create a copy. and place it here. And one more right here. Now select all three shapes and distribute them horizontally. Now we need to import three images. And let's place one of the images on top of the first rectangle. Then activate the crop tool and move the crop handles until it snaps. And now you can remove the rectangular shapes, we won't need them anymore. All that's left to do now is to add the title and some text. And with that, we're done creating our slides. Now let's run the whole presentation and see the result. It's looking amazing, but if you want to know how you can go a step further and learn to animate this presentation, then please check my next video where I will be going with you through each slide and add beautiful animations and transitions. If you are not yet subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do so. There will be more videos coming out soon which you don't want to miss. And that's all for now. Bye!